Hello everyone, welcome to my English class. Today we will discuss about the book Hornbills chapter number 5, the ailing planet, the green movement's role, written by Nani Palkhiwala, and I am Jyoti Singh. Here is the introduction of this chapter, the ailing planet, the green movement's role. This chapter will be focusing on the causes that are responsible for the weakening health of this planet. This planet means our Earth. This chapter is initially an article. The writer of this article is Nani Palkhiwala. This article was published in the Indian Express on the 23rd of November in the year 1994. This article was published in the Indian Express on 23rd November in 1994. In this article, the writer deliberates about the green movement, the ailing planet, the green movement's role summary talks about how a zoo declared humans as world's most dangerous animals. I hope you understand the introduction. Now here is the summary of this chapter. The writer briefs the change in the perception of the societies from a materialistic view to the comprehensive and ecological view of this world. It states that humans are now worrying about the environment. In this way of perception, our planet is considered as a living organism. People considered it as it's having its own metabolic functioning as well as other living entities are having. Then the author explains the concept of sustainable growth of 1987 meets the wants of the current time without losing the ability of upcoming generations to meet their needs and fulfill them. Furthermore, we must utilize the natural resources in such a way that we fulfill our needs as well as conserve these resources for the upcoming generations. People consider themselves as a partner and not as a member of this planet. In actuality, we are partners with millions of creatures of this entire planet. Then, the Global Economic Prospect, a book, points out that the planet's major biological system are four, that are fisheries, forests, croplands, and grasslands. These virtually consist of all the raw materials of industries at present. A non-sustainable utilization of these resources is occurring. Then the writer is concerned about the lessening of the forest land. The dung which we should use as a natural fertilizer, we are generally using to produce fuel. On the other hand, the soil is not receiving natural fertilizer. And the next. Then the writer refers to Article 48A of the Constitution of India. Article 48A, it states that the state should not guard and improve the forest and the wildlife as well, but they do not impose the law appropriately. Then the writer refers to a parliamentary committee report that says the decline of a forest at the frequency of 3.7 million acres every single year. The United Nations cautions that the environment has deteriorated so severely that it is critical in many of the 88 countries examined. The population is rising at a very higher rate. Development and growth are the two most appropriate solutions to people's problems. With such a population, development is a difficult task to do. We need a proper family planning to control the situation of overpopulation. There is a major need to control the population of the earth. The writer at this point once more repeats the positive change in view of the people regarding ecology. Industries must also take responsibility for a better ecosystem. So let's start the explanation of this chapter. Here are some expressions in the text. So we should know the meaning of these context. The first one is a holistic and ecological view. It means to understanding the importance of earth's resources and environment of future generation. Ecological means preservation of the planet. Next, sustainable development. So it means that that, that does not focus on the present alone but also saves some sources for the future. Next, language. Lot of species are neglected and go unnoticed. Next, ignominious darkness. And the meaning is disgraceful as nobody has their knowledge or is enlightened about them. Next word is inter alia. It means among other things. Next word is decimated. And the meaning is to kill a large number of animals, plants, or people in a particular area. And the next one is catastrophic depletion. And here is the meaning a disastrous reduction in number of something. And the last one is transcending concern. It means a concern that surpasses this generation. It is not about the present alone, but more about the future. I hope you understand all the meanings. The following article was written by Nani Palkhiwala. Nani Palkhiwala is the writer of this chapter, of this article, and published in the Indian Express on 24th November 1994. And this article was published in the newspaper The Indian Express on 24th November 1994. The issue that he raised regarding the declining health of the earth continue to have relevance. And what's the issue in this article? The issue he raised in this article was regarding the declining health of the earth continue to have relevance. This is the issue of this article which he raised. So here is the explanation. One cannot recall any movement in world history which has gripped the imagination of the entire human race so completely and so rapidly as the Green Movement, which started nearly 25 years ago. The writer Nani Palkhiwala said that no one cannot recall any movement like Green Movement, which was started 25 years ago, and this movement gripped the entire human race very rapidly, very fast. In 1972, the world's first nationwide Green Party was founded in New Zealand. New Zealand is the name of a country where this party was founded, which organized the Green Movement. Since then, the movement has not looked back, and after then that, the movement did not look back. Did not look back. The next, we have shifted one hopes irrevocably. Irrevocably means impossible to change from the mechanistic view. Mechanistic view means we have a view of machines. We are very habitual to machines to a holistic and ecological view of the world. Here the writer says that it is impossible to change that. We cannot change our mechanistic view to a holistic and ecological view. But we should have to change our view, mechanistic view to a holistic and ecological view for our survival, for our earth. It is a shift in human perception as revolutionary as that it is a shift in human perceptions as revolutionary as that introduced by Copernicus, a scientist who taught mankind in the 16th century that the earth and the other planets revolved around the sun. Here the writer introduced Copernicus. Copernicus, who introduced or taught us that earth and the other planets revolved around the sun. He taught this in the 16th century. For the first time in human history, there is a growing worldwide consciousness that the earth itself is a living organism. And that was the first time in the entire human history that earth is also a living organism. We realize this, that the earth is also a living organism like human, like animal, like a bird, an enormous being of which we are parts. And we are the parts of this living organism. Living organism means the planet earth, and we are the part of this. It has its own metabolic needs and vital processes which need to be respected and preserved. And the earth has its own metabolic needs which vital processes it needs, and we have to respect and preserve it. The earth's vital signs reveal a patient in declining health, and there are some signs which shows that earth is going to sick, declining health it have. We have begun to realize our ethical obligations to be good steward of the planet, and this is our duty, that we should follow our ethical obligations to be a good steward of the planet. We should be the good warriors of the planet which we can secure, and responsible trustees, and we should be the responsible person of the legacy to future generation. And this is our responsibility, that we maintain the present and we secure our future generations. The concept of sustainable development was popularized in 1987 by the World Commission on Environment and Development. Here is the concept of sustainable development was popularized. And what do you mean by sustainable development? As you already know, sustainable development, which means we have to preserve the things for the future and also use at present. In its report, it defined the idea as development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. And here is the meaning of two. That means development that meets the needs of the present. It means we uh, we use the natural resources at present, and we use the resources in the future and our future generations to meet these things. Without stripping the natural world of resources, future generations would need. As we need the natural resources, as our future generations need too. So we should preserve all the natural resources for our future generations. In the next, in the zoo at Lusaka, Zambia, there was a zoo at Lusaka, Zambia. There is a case where the notice reads, where a notice was pasted, and the words are, the world's most dangerous animal. What was the note? The world's most dangerous animal. Inside the cage, there is no animal, but a mirror where you see yourself. But there was no animal. Instead of animal, there was a mirror. When a person stands out the mirror, he can or she can see himself. And that means the most dangerous animal is the human itself. Thanks to the efforts of a number of agencies in different countries, a new awareness has now dawned upon the most dangerous animal in the world. Uh, Thanks to the efforts of number of agencies in different countries, here in this article, Nani Palkhiwala thanked to the many agencies in different countries that now there are awareness between the human and the nature that dawned upon means begin to be understood for the first time. There is the understanding for the generations natural resources, that we should preserve the natural resources for the future generation. He has realized the wisdom of shifting upon from a system based on domination to one based on partnership. And here is the shifting from the system of domination means to have control or mastery of anything, but this domination changed into a partnership. Scientists have catalogued about 1.4 million living species with which mankind shares the earth. Scientists have cataloged means listed about 1.4 million living species which are surviving in the earth. Estimates vary widely as regards the still uncatalogued living species. This is an estimation, but biologists reckon that about 3 to 100 million other living species still languish unnamed in ignominious darkness. But there are so many species, and millions or 100 millions of living species are still languish, are still unknown in this ignominious darkness, in this disgraceful or without unknowing places. One of the early international commissions which dealt inter alia with the question of ecology and environment was the Brandeth Commission, which had a distinguished Indian as one of its members, Mr. L.K. Jha. And another international commission was dealt, which has a question about the ecology and environment, and that was Brandeth Commission, and there was an Indian member too, Mr. L.K. Jha. The first Brandt's report raised the question, and in this report, the first question was: are we to leave our successors a scorched planet of advancing desert, improvised landscapes, and alien environment? The question is that will we leave our will we leave the successors, we will leave a very few part of natural resources for our successors, it means our future generations, a scorched planet, a narrow planet which have no more natural resources, advancing deserts. Advancing deserts means lack of natural resources, impoverished landscapes, and landscape became too barren and alien environment, and the environment became declined. And the next, Mr. Lester R. Brown, in his thoughtful book, here is the another name, Mr. Lester R. Brown, in his book, The Global Economic Prospect, points out that the Earth's principal biological system are four: fisheries, forests, grasslands, and croplands, and are they form the foundation of the global economic system. According to Lester R. Brown in his book The Global Economic Prospect, he said that there are only four biological systems, and these systems are fisheries, forests, grasslands, and the croplands, and they form the foundation of global economic system. In addition to supplying our food, these four systems provide in all virtually all the raw materials for industry except minerals and petroleum derived synthetic. It means that all these four systems provide all type of raw materials for industries except minerals and petroleum, and minerals and petroleum derived from synthetics. In large areas of the world, human claims on these systems are reaching an unsustainable level. A point a point where their productivity is being impaired. It means in some areas human beings detroit these points, these levels are on unsustainable, a point where their productivity is being impaired, it means they are becoming a very few. Impaired means to damage something or weaker something. Next, when this happens, fisheries collapse, forests disappear, grasslands are converted into barren wastelands. Next, the writer says that fisheries become collapsed or fell down, and forest also vanished. Disappear means vanished. Grasslands are converted into barren wastelands. Barren wasteland means to become deserts, and croplands deteriorate, and croplands become worst. In a protein conscious and protein hungry world, protein conscious means to killing by killing fish and having fishes. Overfishing is common every day because we get protein by killing the fishes. Fishes are rich in protein. In poor countries, local forests are being decimated in order to procure firewood for cooking. And in the poor countries, it is decimated that firewood is use for cooking. Procure means to use in a special manner. In some places, firewood has become so expensive that what goes under the pot now costs more than what goes inside it. And in other countries, it is too expensive that it goes under the pot costs more than what goes inside it. It means the cost of the woods is too much higher than the food. Since the tropical forest is in the words of Dr. Myers, the powerhouse of evolution. Tropical forest means rainforest where there is no dryness. Dr. Myers called it the powerhouse of evolution. Several species of life face extinction as a result of its destruction. Extinction means disappearing, and many or several species faces disappearing of in this world because of the destruction of all the four sectors. Where is it? Fisheries, whether it is forest, whether it is grasslands, or whether it is croplands. In all the fields, we can see destruction for our greed. It has been well said that forests precede mankind, deserts follow. Here, here the writer says that if we proceed, if we follow this, uh, if we follow that, we should not change our mankind, then the land became deserts. Precede means to continue doing something, and what we continue to the deforestation. We The world's ancient patrimony of tropical forest is now eroding at the rate of 40 to 50 million acres a year, and the growing use of dung for burning deprives the soil of an important natural fertilizer. In this line, the writer says that world's ancient patrimony, a property which is inherited by father, inherited by father, and the tropical forests are inherited by the nature, and now eroding. Now eroding, it means destroy slowly at the rate of 40 to 50 million acres a year are destroying, and the growing use of dung for burning deprives and it and the uh, and the burning of dung deprives the soil's fertility. We should use the dung as a natural fertilizer to grow more crops, but we use the chemical or the synthetic chemicals to produce more crop. The World Bank estimates that a five-fold increase in the rate of forest planting is needed to cope with the expected fuel wood demanded in the year 2000. The World Bank estimates that the, the ratio will be increased fivefold in the year of 2000. We should need to plant forest 5 times. In the next, James Speth, the president of the World Resources Institute, said the other day, James Speth, who is the president of World Resource Institute, said that we were saying that we are losing the forest at an acre a second, but is much closer to an acre and a half to a second. It means we are not only losing the forest in an acre a second, but it become an half an second an acre. We lost it. We lost the forest in just half a second, a acre, an acre. Article 48A of the Constitution of India provides that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. It means that state government should endeavor means to do with earnestness and a fair amount of effort to protect and improve the environment. This is the duty of states, that they should do something to improve or to protect the environment and to safeguard the forest and to save the forest and wildlife of the country, and secure the wildlife of the country. But what causes endless anguish is the fact that laws are never respected nor enforced in India. But in contrary, no one can afford because of their anguish. They never they never respect or not enforce the law in India. And this is the anger, this is the anguishness, great mental pain of suffering. Anguish means, for instance, the constitution says that casteism, untouchability and bonded labor shall be abolished. In our constitution, casteism, untouchability and bonded labor are banned, but they flourish shamelessly. But these things are flourishing even after 44 years of the operation of the constitution. After the 44 years of the constitution, when this article wrote, it was the century of upcoming 21st century. In the year of 1994, this article was written. A recent report of our Parliament's Estimates Committee has highlighted the near catastrophic depletion. The catastrophic depletion, as you know, disastrous reduction in number of something. It is highlighted that India's forests over the last 4 decades, it means that in the last 4 decades, our forest became reduced, become disastrous. They are on the line of disaster. India, according to reliable data, is losing its forest at the rate of 3.7 million acre a year. This is the rate of losing the forests according to the reliable data. Large areas officially designated as forest land are already virtually treeless, and the large areas are already treeless. Treeless means deforested. The actual loss of forest is estimated to be about 8 times the rate indicated by government statistics. And this is not the real government statistics, but in the contrary, it is too high than the rate indicates. The deforestation become increased. A 3-year study using satellites and aerial photography conducted by the United Nations, warns that the environment has deteriorated so badly that it is critical in many of the 88 countries investigated. United Nations conducted a satellite and aerial photography, and then UN warns that environment has deteriorated. It become worst in many countries. It is in the condition that when the aerial photography conducted. 88 countries was investigated that they are in the line of critical. There were no more forests. There can be no doubt that the growth of world population is one of the strongest factors distorting the future of human society. And then in the next passage of this article, here is a new topic. The topic is the population. Here he says that the growth of world population is increased and one of the strongest factors which distorting the future of human society. It took mankind more than a million years to reach the first billion. He said that mankind take more than a million years to reach first billion. That was the world population around the 1800. In 1800, the population was first billion was 1 billion. By the year 1900, the second 1 billion was added, and and the ratio of increasing was too high. And the 20th century has added another 3.7 billion, and the population increased and it became 3.7 billion after the 1900. And in the 20th century it was 3.7 billion. The present world population is estimated at 5.7 billion. On the time of 1994, when this article was written, the population was 5.7 billion. And now in 2020, it is different. It is more increased, more than 7.5 billion, the world population. Every 4 days, the world population increases by 1 billion. And the world's population increase 1 billion in every 4 days. This is the ratio. Fertility falls as incomes rise, education spreads, and health improves. Fertility falls as income rise. When the birth rate is in control, then the income should be increased. Income and education should spread. Education should be spread and income will rise when the fertility rates will fall. And health should also improve. This development is the best contraspective, but development itself may not be possible if the present increase in the numbers continues. So this development is the best contraspective. Contraspective means to control the birth rate. The rich get richer, the poor begets children, which condemns them to remain poor. And in the present day, the rich person become rich and the poor begets children. And the poor man beget children. More children does not mean more workers, merely more people without work. And the poor people thought that if they have, and the more people thought if they have more children, it means they have more workers and they gain more salary and more money they can get. But it isn't. It is not suggested that human beings are treated like cattle and compulsorily sterilized. And sterilized means to take or show free from bacteria. Humans are not treated like cattle, but they should be free from bacteria. But there is No alternative to voluntary family planning without introducing an element of coercion. They should be forced to take an alternative. They should be planned. They should family planning. The choice is really between control of population and perpetuation of poverty. And this is the continuation that we have a choice to control the population or the member of those people who want to increase the population or increase the poverty ratio. This is our choice. The population of India is estimated to be 920 million today. On that time when this article was written, the population was 920 million, more than the entire populations of Africa and South America put together. No one familiar with the conditions in India would doubt that the hope of the people would die in their hungry hutments unless population control is given topmost priority. The population of India is more than the population of Africa and South America. And the condition is worse. This is the duty of the people to control the population rate, and this is the topmost priority. For the first time in human history, we see a transcending concern. And the first time we see in the human history a transcending concern that the survival just not of the people but of the planet. This is saying that the survival of the people is not in a risk, but the survival of planet is in the risk too. We have begun to take a holistic view of the very basis of our existence. Now we have to change mechanistic view to a holistic view for the survival of the planet. The environmental problems does not necessarily signal our demise. Our environmental problems doesn't necessarily signal that we are going on the end of the earth of our survival. It is our password for the future. If the environment is safe, then our future safe. The emerging new world vision has ushered in the era of responsibility. And this is the era of responsibility we have to take. We have to go where we want to survive, the survival of our future. It is a holistic view and ecological view, seeing the world as an integrated whole rather than a disassociated collection of parts. And this is integrated whole rather than the disassociated collection of parts. We should follow the ecological and holistic view for the survival of our future generation, so that they can use the the natural species, natural sources, just like us. Industry has a most crucial role to play in this era of responsibility. And in this era of responsibility, we have when we have the responsibility to secure our planet, the industries has a most crucial role. Water transformation would be effective if more businessmen shared the view of the chairman of DuPont, Mr. Edgar S. Woolard, who 5 years ago declared himself to be the company's chief environmental officer. He said, "Our continued existence as a leading manufacturer requires that we excel in environmental performance." The chairman of DuPont, he declared himself a chief environmental officer and said that if we want to if we want existence in this planet, so we should manufacture those things which are natural, securer. We want raw material, but This is our duty, that if we deforest, we should forest. If we cut a tree, so in place of a tree, we should plant two trees. This is the duty for the survival of our humanity and the planet. Of all the statements made by Margaret Thatcher during this year of her prime ministership, none has passed so decisively into the current coin of English users as her fallacious words. The fallacious words means based on false ideas. These are: no generation has a freehold on this earth. All we have is a life tenancy with a full repairing lease. He said that we are not the owner of this earth. We are the tenants. Tenants, a person who use a house, building or a room, anything, which he had to pay rent to the owner. And we have to pay for the owner. Who is the owner? The future generations are the owner, and we are the tenants with a full repairing lease. In the words of Mr. Lester Brown, we have not inherited this earth from our forefathers. Here Mr. Lester Brown says that we are not inherited, and this earth is not inherited from our forefathers, but we have borrowed it from our children. In the contrary, this earth is borrowed from our children, borrowed from our upcoming generations, our future generations. We borrowed this, and this is our duty to secure our natural resources, to precede the vision of holistic and ecological view. And we should follow the sustainable development which is required in this time. And the views holistic and ecology are important to secure our future generation. So the chapter is finished. I hope you understand this chapter, and I also introduce the summary of this chapter as well as the introduction, summary and line-wise line explanation I made. This is the duty of all the human, that we should preserve our environment and secure the wildlife. So I hope you enjoy this chapter and learn from this chapter that environment and natural resources are very important, not only that time but in the future too. Thank you for watching this video and learn. Thank you.